Well, it's official. The 2020 NFL Combine is in the books. 4 days of frickin' Combine action. Nice little warm-up back to teaser to the NFL Draft that takes place a little less than 2 months from now. Better get on the good foot and do the bad thing because it's right around the corner. So yes, indeed. I even took time off of work to make sure I could watch all 4 days of the Combine and did my best to actually follow through on that. And here you are, a video about the NFL Combine. Who knew? I'm here to talk about what I perceive to be the biggest winners and losers from the 2020 NFL Combine. All 4 days of shenanigans. I'm going to start off with the winners. I guess you got to call out St. Jude Children's Hospital. The Run Rich Run program, fantastic program, helped raise almost $1 million for that great worthy cause. Imagine, like, if you had 1 million people watching the Combine, we all would have contributed $5, would have been $5 million. Just saying, maybe next year it could raise even more money. But, you know, while on the one hand, you want to just watch football. On the other hand, it is a worthy cause. So I have no problems with it whatsoever. How could you be against trying to help children that are sick? I don't know. But it is a bizarre, messed up world, so there probably are people that hate it. But anyways, on to the other winners, the quarterbacks. I think you look at Jordan Love from Utah State. Certainly Daniel Jeremiah and others were fawning all over him, and I don't think he did anything to hurt himself, that's for sure. Probably cemented his status as a first-round pick because somebody's going to look at him and say, there's a Mahomes type of guy. We don't want to miss up on the next Mahomes type. James Morgan from Florida International, I thought he had a pretty solid showing for himself, as did Steven Montez, the quarterback from Colorado. He's got size. He's got a number of things going for him. Has some flaws. I look at him sometimes and I want more. But he really had a good accounting for himself here. In terms of the running backs, Jonathan Taylor from Wisconsin running 4.39 probably finalized his place, getting taken somewhere towards the tail end of round number 1. Might be the first running back off the board. A.J. Dillon from Boston College, guy with big size who put up a really nice 40 time, looked really good in the drills. Probably made himself some money over the weekend. And then Darrynton Evans, the running back from Appalachian State, a guy, again, worked out really well. And, you know, as much as it should be about film and other things, it's performances like this at the Combine for a kid like Evans that makes people go back and look at the film again and say, oh, does what we see in the testing match what we see in the film? The wide receiver group, you had some guys that really helped themselves, which isn't a surprise considering how much we perceive this to be a great receiver class. CeeDee Lamb, to me, while you're talking about, oh, you only ran 4.5, 4.51, you know, that was about the high end of what you thought he was going to be able to run at his maximum speed. The fact that he didn't go out there and run in the mid 4.6s, you know, I think, if anything, only cemented himself as a first-round pick. Beyond all of that, talking about a guy potentially being the first wide receiver off the board, like, there are a lot of really good talents in this wide receiver class, and there's a very good chance, as good as Lamb is, he ends up not being the best guy when all is said and done. Nonetheless, he certainly looked like that dude in his Combine workout. He looked incredible. Justin Jefferson, great, running low 4.4s, great in the field. He, I think,
cemented himself as a first-round pick. Denzel Mims from Baylor is going to have a lot of people going back and looking at the film and say, holy crap, he ran well, he's got adequate size. He probably put himself in the second-round conversation. He may be rising. Chase Claypool put to bed the talk about him having to convert to tight end, being that big and running that fast, where you're in a category with Calvin Johnson. That's pretty good company to be in. That's all I'll say. In terms of the tight ends, I think Troutman probably did enough to put himself into the tight end 2, tight end 3 conversations. Not the best 40 time, but other than that, looked really good. Albert OK, that's what I'm going to call him, from Missouri. Put up a big-time 40 time running sub 4.5. He's got concerns about medical and other things, but that speed's going to play, and somebody's going to fall in love with it. The offensive lineman, Mackie Becton, from Louisville. That big fat man got up there, ran the 40, and said, I kind of hurt myself. Reality is I ran that 40 time. What the hell else do I need to do? I showed my athleticism at 306-plus mountain man pounds, and he did. Tristan Wirfs was outstanding. Looked like a freaking gazelle. Massive quads. I mean, he was running in the 4.8s. He looked so fluid in the field work. Now, never mind the fact that all the talk about is he a left tackle or right tackle is stupid and an outdated, antiquated way of thinking when it comes to the NFL anyways. Simple fact of the matter is nobody's going to be looking at him and thinking he's a guard now. Jedrick Wills from Alabama didn't do anything to hurt himself here. Looked really, really good. Isaiah Wilson, another big boy, 350-pound offensive tackle, to me showed that he could stick outside, which helps when you're talking about making money. Defensive line had a couple of guys that worked out really, really well. Neville Gallimore probably cemented his space or his spot going in the first round, maybe creeping up towards top 20 turf. Ross Blacklock from TCU, again, I thought he was really, really good and certainly helped himself and has his needle pointing up. James Smith-Williams was one of the real stars of that defensive line class. Alton Robinson from Syracuse looked really good, not just from his workout numbers, but looked like he had really good hip flexibility and the ability to bend. He really stood out to me. The linebackers, you got to go with Isaiah Simmons. And you could say, well, he was expected to do this. Yeah, but he ran 4.39. He took himself from top 10 talk to top 5 talk. That's how good his combine went for him. Kenneth Murray from Oklahoma. The testing was really good. He's a guy that's probably cemented his spot as a top 20 pick, and he could be rising. Malik Harrison from Ohio State. I'm not surprised he worked out well, but I'm a little surprised he worked out that well. Probably put himself in a good position, his needles moving up. The defensive back, C.J. Henderson, as much as you could talk about Okudah from Ohio State, he's just a stud, period. But Henderson, man, going out there and running like he did and being as fluid in the field dribbles as he did, certainly put himself in the conversation and probably sealed the deal in the conversation of being the second corner taken in this draft. Probably puts him somewhere between picks 15 to 20. Christian Fulton from LSU ran well, certainly helped his stock. Tanner Muse from Clemson, big boy that could run. I wonder if some teams might potentially look at him with that size and that speed, and they might look at him more as a linebacker than they would as a safety, giving him some flexibility in terms of what teams are going to project him as. And then Antoine Winfield Jr. ran well, great in the drills. How crazy is it? We're getting old. Antoine Winfield's son is now draft eligible. Stupid. Anyways, moving on from the winners, unfortunately, there got to be some losers. And I look at the losers, and I start off with the quarterbacks. Jake Fromm showed the noodle arm that he has, which wasn't good. He needed to come into the combine and show some pop, and he didn't have it. Jacob Eason, nobody's really talking about him. And to me, that's where he really missed out. Because the top 4 at this moment is pretty well established with Burrow and Herbert and Tua and Love in some type of particular order. But who is going to be that QB5? This is a real chance for Jacob Eason to stand out, and nobody's talking about him. And to me, that's a loss because it's a missed opportunity. And Shea Patterson, if you draft him, you're dumb. Moving on. Running backs, Salvin Ahmed didn't have a very good day. Scotty Phillips also did not have a very good day. The wide receiver group, a couple of surprises here a little bit. Laviska Shenault from Colorado. I wasn't exactly expecting him to light the world on fire in the 40. That's true. But showing up with a bag share, I don't know what the hell. It's called aerodynamics, sir! What are you doing? And then he gets injured, and he has to miss all the other workouts, and then you find out that he's got a core injury that he's going to have surgery on. Not a good time for all this stuff to go down. It might knock him out of the first round. It might, believe it or not, with the depth of this wide receiver class, knock him out of round number 2. Jalen Reagor from TCU, whoever told him to add that weight should be fired and slapped upside the head. I was expecting to see a decent day out of Reagor, and I didn't get it. And T. Higgins loses because he didn't work out. Understand that this was not necessarily going to be a place that he was going to shine. But in a deep wide receiver class, you run the risk not working out of getting kind of left behind, and which very possibly could have happened for him here. The tight end, Jared Pinkney, I thought he had a rough day. His 40 time was slow, and he didn't look that great in the drills. Michael Wilcox, if I remember correctly, he's the one that got beamed in the head in the gauntlet drill. Ran slow, didn't look very good. The offensive lineman, Yasir Durant, looked really, really bad. Throckmorton from Oregon looked like a guy that's going to have to flip inside. He did not look athletic at all. And then Trey Adams, while I wanted to put him in the winners category for saying if there's one thing he wishes he could have was bigger dick size. He had the slowest 40 time out of anybody at the combine. He looks like a shell of his former self. Now, he's a guy that you look at potentially, you take a gamble on maybe in day 3 and hope that you can find that talent that he once flashed. But yeah, not a good weekend for him. Defensive lineman, speaking of not a good weekend for somebody, A.J. Epineza. You're running in the 5s as an edge rusher. That's really tough. And I thought he only looked so-so in the field drills. Like, if I was basing it just off of the combine and what I was seeing there, not just the 40 time, but all of it, I would look at Epineza and I would say, what the hell is the big deal? This guy's a day 3 talent. So I'd be stunned if he gets taken in the first round. I'll be even more stunned if he ends up getting taken in the top half of round number 2 at this point. It was a really, really bad showing for him. Javon Kinlaw from South Carolina. Not that he did anything bad, but he didn't do any of the running, any of the other major drills. Felt like that was a missed opportunity for him, and he could get passed by guys, most especially a Gallimore. Jordan Elliott, I thought, had a rough day. Didn't run well. Didn't look that good in the field drills. Certainly didn't help his stock. Linebackers, Michael Divinity from LSU running in the mid 4.8s. That's not going to get it done. That's not going to get it done. And then you look at the defensive backs. Grant Delpit. I just think teams are going to look at some other guys and start to wonder just how good Delpit really is. Stanford Samuels running in the mid 4.6s as a corner. Yeah, you want to go in there and you want to establish yourself, maybe get yourself in the day 2 or high day 3 conversation. You're not going to do that running in the mid 4.6s. And then Jalen Elliott from Notre Dame, good Christ, running in the 4.8s as a corner. No bueno. Not good. But I will say that I'm glad the combine's over. It was 4 days. I enjoyed it. As far as the prime time format, I think when I look at it, it would have been better if they had actually customized it for prime time instead of just running it from 4 to 10 o'clock, which is basically what they did. And I'm complaining because I had taken the 4 days off, or 2 days off plus the weekend anyways. I was going to watch all 4 days, but I thought they were going to put more spice into it. It was good to see Mike Mayock back in the booth even for a few minutes. But other than that, we plow ahead. It's on to pro days, and in about 6.5, 7 weeks, we're on to the NFL draft. Yeah!